Hello, and this is my Capcom rant. Now, before I get started, a little disclaimer. I've been playing Capcom games a very long time. I remember playing Mega Man 2 on the NES. I remember playing Mega Man 3, 4, 5. I remember playing the first time I played Mega Man X, and I thought this was a great next generation Mega Man. X1, X2, X3. I kind of stopped caring about Mega Man once it went to the PlayStation and left the Nintendo console until I got Mega Man Legends on the N64 and Mega Man Command Mission on the GameCube. And I can't even get into the sheer amount of Mega Man games I played on my Game Boy. Mega Man Battle Network, EXE, re-released versions of Mega Man on the Game Boy Advanced. So, you could say I have played a lot of Capcom games in the Keiji Inafune camp, but I also played Capcom games that weren't by Keiji Inafune. I never really liked Resident Evil. I played it, didn't like it. I did, however, play my share of Okami and Beautiful Joes, and other great games that, I just really, really loved and thought were just awesome. But over the years, something terrible began to happen. Something absolutely terrible. Capcom went from being a great Japanese developer to wanting to become westernized. And this led to the doom of Capcom. Stay tuned for my Capcom rant on just where Capcom fucked up. Thank you, and stay tuned. Okay, I'm back, and it's time to get into the rant. Now, Capcom used to be a good company back in the 80s. They had Mega Man, other games that weren't Mega Man, but Mega Man was there. Capcom's Mario, their mainstay that they could fall back on to make games for them was to make money for them was Mega Man for years. Okay, Street Fighter really didn't hit the scene until the next generation of Japanese consoles came out. And I don't mean the SNES, I mean like the TurboGrafx, the MSX, and it wasn't Street Fighter, it was called Fighter Street because English. So, I mean, like, they had a pillar of two really good games. Street Fighter, Mega Man, okay? And people had never seen that before. People had never seen a fighting game where you could input special moves and do all types of cool stuff. But, Capcom came out with strings of really good games. Final Fight, Street Fighter 2, Mega Man X, Mega Man, Rockman, Power Stone. I mean, lots and lots of really great games. But recently, within the last 5 or 6 years, relatively speaking, basically the people who made Capcom, who made the backbone of the talented people that basically made the games that people love to play, left. Shinji Mikami, the guy who basically started, the guy who created Resident Evil, and the whole, Capcom has made Resident Evil into an action horror game. But Resident Evil was never an action horror game. Resident Evil was a survival horror game. It was about having a shitty camera with dumbass characters trying to make it to the end of the game with weird shit going on, and how could you survive? You had limited ammo, limited health, cheap deaths. I mean, that was what made Resident Evil scary, okay? And it was puzzle solving and figuring out things. I mean, it wasn't this action, sliding across the floor, shooting an explosion, a red barrel, and make everything explode around you, a la Resident Evil 6. But Shinji Mikami left, so that was a pillar that left. That left them. Then we had Keiji Inafune left. Now, Keiji Inafune didn't create Mega Man. He's the one who primarily worked on it, but he's not the guy who created it. But he damn sure well spent a huge amount of time getting it, to where it needed to be in order to make it, Mega Man as we know it today. And he left. He left partially because Capcom refused to let him try different things. And partially because, he just didn't want to deal with Capcom's bullshit. Okay? And number 3, the other guy who left around this, before Keiji Inafune, but after Shinji Mikami, was, his name was Hideki Kamiya. Now, this is the guy who made the second bloom of Capcom games that made them popular. Beautiful Joe, Devil May Cry, Okami, God Hand. Yeah. Hideki Kamiya. Now he makes, he's a freelance studio, Platinum, that makes, like Mad World and Vanquished and Bayonetta, and that's all I can think of right now. But, he left. So basically, you have a mass exodus of talented people that make the pillar games that Capcom needs. Capcom, in order to save themselves, started trying to make more westernized games. So Lost Planet 1, which was made by Keiji Inafune on the sly, so that he could kind of, because he made it in secret. And Lost Planet 1 was a Japanese style shooter. Okay, the controls were vastly different from westernized shooters. It had giant mechs fighting giant bugs, very Japanese. And they turned it from that to Lost Planet 2, a squad-based shooter, westernized, to Lost Planet 3. I don't know what in the hell that was, but it wasn't Lost Planet. Now, this leads me to my first point. Capcom had a mass exodus of talented people, which led to their franchises, if not just straight up sucking, to them trying to westernize their franchises, which, if you're a Japanese company, you have a niche. Like, all of the major Japanese companies that we here in America know and love, grew up with, had niches, okay? Square, because, that's what it used to be back in the day, Squaresoft. Squaresoft had RPGs, okay? Nintendo made software that complemented their hardware. So, you got your Marios, your Zeldas, your Metroids, your F-Zeros, your whatever, okay? But it always complements their hardware, okay? Capcom made Mega Man and fighting games and brawlers. That was what they did, okay? And they were good at it. There's nothing wrong with making those types of games. But now they want to branch out, and there's nothing wrong with being a niche, with having a niche. Okay, there's nothing wrong with it. Capcom fucked up when they westernized that. They came out with a game a few years ago. No, less than a few years ago, like a year and a half ago, called Remember Me. Or no, it was this summer. That's how memorable that game is. I forgot when it came out and what it sold, but Remember Me did shittily. They spent a huge amount of money on a new IP. It did horribly. But it gets worse. When Keiji Inafune left, Capcom basically canceled all the games he was working on. Because, and I'll tell you why they did it. It's not because Capcoms are dicks. Capcom had no one who knew how to make those style of games except for Keiji Inafune and his team. Because when he left, he took his team with him. Okay? He didn't just leave. He took everyone who worked under him, he took with him when he left. Okay? That could afford to go. Because, you know, it wasn't... Capcom isn't the greatest place in the world to work. Okay? Okay? They aren't... You know, they've been shutting down studios and firing people too, you know. But, so basically they shut down 3 projects that he was working on. Mega Man Universe, Mega Man Legends 3, and another Mega Man game that he was working on. Or, no, that he was overseeing, and it was like a Metroid Prime meets Mega Man, done by the dudes who used to work at Retro and worked on Metroid Prime. And basically, not all of them, but some of them who left Retro Studios. And basically, when he left, they pulled the plug on all of that shit. All of it. And here's the worst part. They claimed, instead of just admitting that we don't have anyone who really knows how to make these games except for Keiji Inafune and, you know, and his team, they blamed the fans of Mega Man. Because, you know, it's so easy to blame the victim. They said there was lack of customer, fan input and participation. Keiji Inafune, you know, he's a cool dude. I think he literally saw this and he said, you know what? When I get in the position, I'm gonna show you guys fan appreciation. So basically, Keiji Inafune about 8 months ago starts a Kickstarter that gets like $4 million, like blows up its all of its goals. It's gonna be on everything except the PS4 and Xbox One, because fuck those 2 systems. And and you know, these were fans of Mega Man who gave money, okay? And he's basically making a Mega Man, the next generation. He's making Mega Man X2. Or he's basically making the next generation of Mega Man games, okay? You had Rockman, the original Mega Man, then you had Mega Man X, and he's making the next step of that, called Beck, okay? So, you know, clearly people wanted Mega Man, okay? People wanted Mega Man. Mega Man is the fucking mascot of the entire of Capcom, and they can't even make a fucking game. They wouldn't even release a game for the 25th anniversary of Mega Man. Not even a collection. Not a thing. I lied. They released a fucking 25th anniversary CD. Yeah. A 25th anniversary CD of some tunes you could get if you had previous Mega Man soundtracks. You probably had this shit already. But hey, you know, what the fuck, you know, why not? You know, because, you know, Capcom cares so much about their customers. Now, that's just Mega Man. If you're a Mega Man fan, Capcom is like, gave you the finger. Okay? They gave you the finger. Okay? But it gets worse. It gets so much worse. Capcom was guilty of this back in the SNES days, okay? They released Street Fighter 2. Then they came out with like 4 different versions of Street Fighter 2 on the SNES and Genesis. There was Street Fighter 2. Then there was Super Street Fighter 2. Then there was Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Then there was Street Fighter 2 The New Challengers Turbo. And that was just on the SNES. Then they came out with then they had Sega CD and Sega Saturn and the PlayStation and the Dreamcast, and they had Street Fighter. They had like 3-4 different versions of Street Fighter 3. Then Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter Alpha 2, with multiple iterations, just milking the shit out of the franchise. And then they let Street Fighter kind of die down for a little bit. Came out Street Fighter 4. And they're doing it all over again. Okay? Now, if that isn't bad enough, okay? Capcom comes out with, you know, Capcom is grasping at straws in order to save their asses. And every time they come out with something positive, it's like one step forward, two steps back. They release Monster Hunter 4. Now this game sells like gangbusters. Gangbusters, okay, in Japan. Like they had they wanted to sell 2.1 over like a year, like 6 months, 8 months, a long time. It sold that much in like 2 months. Okay, it was sold out. They had to make more cartridges. And they take the profits from this blockbuster seller and they fucking open a mobile game studio. Okay? Mobile gaming is, as I've said in a previous rant, mobile gaming is it's a razor thin profit margin. Okay? I know what I'm talking about. Okay? I own basically a bar/arcade. Okay? If I relied solely on what's getting put into my arcade machines, I'd be broke. If I turned a profit, it would be so thin that I couldn't afford to reinvest in my business. Where I make my money is the drinks and the food, and hosting special events at the bar. I know about razor thin profit margins. Okay, now for someone to, for them to take a formula that works, release a good game, it sells, you have enough money to pay your development studios, turn a profit, and invest into making a new game. Okay? Something different. No. Now, all of this leads to the principal flaw that Capcom made. Capcom basically retired Mega Man when Keiji Inafune left. Mega Man was the donkey of the mule of Capcom. Like every good console developer, every good first party studio, Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, they need a franchise that they can count on to make them a shitload of money regardless. Now, Nintendo is lucky. They have tons of franchises that can do that. They have Pokemon, Mario, Zelda, Metroid, Mario Kart, Mario Party. They have a stable of games that if they release it, they know they're going to turn a profit. Capcom had Mega Man and Street Fighter. They ran Street Fighter into the ground, and Mega Man, they retired. Now, because Keiji Inafune left, which is the equivalent of saying, well, Miyamoto's retiring, no more Mario, fuck him. That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That is just asinine. But Capcom did it. Capcom basically just, they don't, if I ran my business the way Capcom ran their business, I would have been out of business 3 years ago. Okay? Started my business 3 years ago. The first year was tough. The second year, things started to look up. Now things are looking great. If I can make it 2 more years, we can break the 5-year barrier and have a successful business. We already turn a profit. We make more than we put back in just after reinvesting into the business, buying new machines, because, you have to have new machines. So, originally we had like 14 machines and 3 pinball machines. Now we're up to like 25 arcade machines and 10 pinball machines, 20 of which we own. 5 are rented and we switch them out so that people get new games. Because if we just stuck with like the newer ones, we'd never, you can't entice people if you have the same game for like 5 months in a row. You need to switch it out. So, like for 2 months we'll have Afterburner 3. For another 2 months we'll have Mario Kart, the arcade version. Switch it up. Do something different. But I mean, if I ran my business the way Capcom ran their business, I'd be out of business. I'd be broke. I'd be living in my parents' house on their couch or in the basement, whatever. I'd be broke. I'd be on the streets. I'd be living out of my car. Okay? But they continuously do these dumbass, asinine, just seriously fucked up. I don't know where they got this. I don't know where they're going. I do know that I can see Capcom and Square Enix going out of business within the next. I don't think they're gonna see the end of this next console generation. These newest consoles, the PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U generation. I don't think they're gonna see the end of it. I don't think they'll see the next Nintendo console, because at the rate they're going, they're just not gonna make it. They're not going to make it. They're not going to make it. Sorry. That's the end of this rant. But before I go, I'm just going to say thank you to Dildine50 for suggesting that I do Capcom. Props to you, sir or madam. I don't know if you're a dude or a chick, but props to you for subscribing, rate, share, comment. It's because of people like you this channel can grow even bigger. Let's keep up the growth. Okay? My next rant will probably be Call of Duty and Dude Bro shooters, because of another subscriber, Mario Walker, basically suggested it. So have a good day.